On Wednesday, I go to school again. At the beginning of the lesson, one student says, "I started to read more. I feel that it is good for me. I can see how my grammar is better, but I have a problem. When I read and I don't know a word, I look at the word in a dictionary. Then I continue reading. Sometimes when I see the same word again 10 minutes later, I don't remember the word and I have to look at it again. Can you help me to remember the words better?" Our teacher says that it is an interesting question, and she gives this explanation. It is normal that you don't remember the new word immediately. Usually, you will have to look at the word 5 times before you remember it. There will be also words which you will have to see 10 or 15 times. These words are usually verbs. When we learn a new word, the word goes through phases. Only when you achieve the last phase, you remember the word very well. There are 5 of these phases. We can look at them now. The first phase is the moment when you see the word for the first time and you don't know the word. You look at the word in the dictionary. The second phase is the moment when you see the word for the second time. You know that you saw this word before, but you still don't remember its meaning. You look at the word in the dictionary again. The third phase is the moment when you see the word again and you feel what it could mean, but you are not sure. For example, you know that the word is some kind of object or some animal or a verb. The fourth phase is the moment when you already know what the word means when you see it, but you are not able to remember the word when you want to say it. When this phase happens, the word is in your passive vocabulary. The fifth phase is the moment when you are able to use the word when you speak. Now you can see there are 5 phases altogether. Do you understand now why it is not possible to remember a new word when you see it for the first time? It is usually not possible to jump across all the phases with the first meeting with the word. You have to see or hear every word many times and let the word go through all the phases. You can be happy not only when you learn a new word perfectly, but also when you get from one phase to the other. When it happens, you are closer to the final goal, and it is to use the word without problems in everyday communication. It is interesting to me. I didn't know about these phases, but it is all logical. I also have this experience when I look at a new word in the dictionary, but 2 minutes later I don't know what the word means, and I have to look at the word again. I feel stupid when I don't remember the word. Now, I know that it is okay not to remember the word forever when I see it for the first time. I need more meetings with the word before I can use the word well. After school, I go to my football training. Our coach tells us that there is a match on Saturday. The school team will play against another school team from Cambridge. Our coach tells me to come and play for the school team. I am very happy, and I am looking forward to the Saturday match. When you want to remember a new word, you need to see or hear the word about 10 times. How to improve listening. The next day, I go to school again. One of the students has an important question. He wants to know how to improve his listening skills. He wants to know what the best method is. Our teacher says, "Thank you for your question. Good listening skills are very important for communication. If you don't understand what people are saying, it will be difficult for you to speak with them. There are a lot of materials on the internet for students of English. Some students can have a problem to choose the right listening materials for them. Now I want to tell you what materials you can use for listening. There are two types of materials which you can use for listening. You can listen to some audio or you can watch a film. These are two different types of materials. When you listen to some audio, it is good to know 95% of the words or more. If the audio has a lot of new words, read the text first if possible, and look at all new words in the dictionary. When you practice listening, you practice getting information from a spoken language. You don't try to learn new words. Of course, sometimes you can learn new words, but it is not the main goal. When you listen, concentrate on getting information from spoken English. It is important to use materials at your level of English. For example, you can use books in simplified English which have an audio recording. I really recommend these books to you. They are fantastic because you can choose a book at your level of English. When you have such a book, read the book first and then listen to the recording at home or when you travel. You can read two great books at www.robinsoncrusoeinlevels.com or www.thelittleprinceinlevels.com. You can also visit www.newsinlevels.com if you like listening to the news. All these materials are in 3 levels of English. The second type of materials for listening practice are films and videos on www.youtube.com. These are also very good. You can start to use them when you know 2,000 words in English or more. This is what you should do with a film. Watch it for the first time with subtitles so that you know the story of the film. Then watch the film without subtitles. If you like the film very much, you can watch it more than once. When you watch one film many times with every view, you can understand more. It is also good to watch videos on the internet about interesting subjects. For example, if you like nature, you can watch documentaries about nature. You can also watch reality shows. Reality shows are much easier to understand than films or documentaries because the structure of the show is usually the same. It is necessary to have at least 30 minutes of listening every day. When you listen to English materials, always look at what you already understand. It can be only 10% at the beginning. It is better than 0%. Continue to listen, and soon it can be 20 or 30%. Always look at what you already know. Be happy for every new sentence which you understand. Does this information help you? Yes, says the student. Thank you. The listening topic is very interesting for me. Now, I know what to do to when I want to be better at listening. When you want to be good at listening, listen for 30 minutes every day. What you need. Before you start. On Friday, we have an interesting conversation in our class. Our teacher has a question for us. She asks, "Do you remember your first impulse to learn English? Do you remember the moment when you started to learn English?" I say that I remember the moment when I started to be interested in English. My teacher says, "Can you tell us about this moment?" I say, "Yes." First, I have to say that English wasn't always my favorite subject. I started to learn English at high school. At the beginning, it was very difficult for me. I didn't understand the structure of the language. It was illogical to me. I tried to remember words. I tried to learn grammar, but it was very hard to me. When I finished high school, I was still only a beginner. I couldn't speak English, and I believed that I couldn't learn this language. I believed that English wasn't for me. Then something happened. I always liked music, and when I was 20, I started to listen to the Beatles. I wanted to understand their songs, so I started to translate the texts of their songs. Slowly, I understood more and more. Then I met two ladies from England on a train. We had a simple conversation, but it helped me very much. I started to believe that I could learn English. From that moment, I was working on my English almost every day, and I was better and better. Then I started to go to this school. My teacher thanks me for telling my story. She also tells me, "Here is something very interesting about your story. First, you didn't have motivation to learn English. Then you had a motivation. You wanted to understand songs. You can see that motivation is very important. When you have it, you can learn English. When you don't have it, it is very hard to be successful." Then our teacher asks everybody in the class about their motivation to learn English. The stories are very interesting. One girl's motivation is to be able to read historical books in original English. One student wants to be a professional tennis coach in England. He wants to speak perfect English before he starts his career as a coach. One woman wants to work for a big international company, and she needs English for her job. I can see that everybody has some motivation to use English in real life, or to get information from books. At the end of the lesson, our teacher asks us if we like English. I say, "I didn't like English at my high school, but now I like it a lot. I can see how useful it is to know this language." Our teacher says, "This is another important factor when you learn a new language. It is good when you like something which is connected to English. It can be people, music, culture, or history. If you like English, it is easier for you to learn it. If you want to communicate in English, it is good to know 3,000 words or more. If you don't like English, it is more difficult to find time to practice. Then it is difficult to get to the level of 3,000 words." I can agree with my teacher. Now, I like the Beatles, but also my teacher and my boss, who is also English. I also like English humor. Now, it is much easier for me to find time to practice English every day. On Saturday, I go to play football for my school team. We have some very good players on our team, and we win 3-2. We are all very happy. We go to the pub after the match, and we celebrate our victory. When you want to learn English, you need to have motivation to use English every day. How to learn 3,000 words. The next lesson, one of the students asks our teacher this question: "You say that it is good to know 3,000 words. Where can I find these 3,000 words?" My teacher says, "You can find a list of 3,000 most frequent words in English on the internet. But it is difficult to learn new words from this list. These words are not connected with any story. You don't learn what other words are connected with these words in sentences. This system works only for some words. These are basic words, which describe things and people around us. For example, mother, father, apple, blue, orange, dog, cat, book, car, house, city, boy, girl, water, cinema, or paper. These are words which represent something which you can imagine easily. For example, when you learn the word dog, you can imagine easily what it is. You have a clear idea in your head what the word means. But when you want to learn words such as decide or opinion, this system doesn't work well. This is a problem which many students have. They start their studying with lists of words. It works at the beginning, and they believe that they can learn English this way. They don't know that when they get to the level of 1,000 words, they have to start using a different system. If you want to learn words from a higher level, you have to learn them from whole sentences. If you understand the meaning of a word in the context of a sentence, you can learn the word much better. You can learn words from lists, but there is usually a limit where you can go with this way of learning, and it is 1,000 words. Also, this way of learning is very slow. There are much better ways which you already know, for example, reading. For beginners, the best book to read is Robinson Crusoe in Simple English. You can find this book at www.robinsoncrusoeinlevels.com. It is a very good book for learning new words for beginners. There is also one interesting rule which is good to know. Every word which is important for you will come back to your life again and again. This is very similar to the way which we learn your own language. When we are children, we don't study from lists of words. We only use the language, and important words come into our lives again and again. We learn new words this way all our lives. For example, the verb Google is a new word in many languages. We learnt this word by using the language. We didn't learn this word from any list of words. When you heard the word Google for the first time, you probably didn't know what the word meant. Then you heard it again and again because the word was important for you, and after some time you understood the word. You can forget about lists of words. Learn new words by reading stories and other interesting texts. When you use English a lot every day, soon you can learn 3,000 words. Does it make sense? Yes, says the student. Thank you. After school, I go to my work. I already know my work very well. Things start to be automatic. I am happy that I understand my customers. It is not very difficult because the conversations are usually very similar. Our customers want some coffee or sandwiches, so the words are usually the same or very similar. My confidence goes higher, and sometimes I start to have longer conversations with our customers. It is all good, but then something happens. It is a little shocking for me. When you learn a new word, learn it as part of the whole sentence. How to improve your accent. On Tuesday, when I am at my work, something interesting happens. 2 customers come to our cafe. They are a husband and a wife. The man starts to speak to me. I know that he speaks English, but I don't understand him. I don't understand what he wants. I think that he wants something which we don't have, so I call my boss. She speaks with the man, and she sells him 2 coffees and 2 sandwiches. I am surprised. When they leave, I go to my boss, and I tell her that I am sorry that I didn't understand the man. She says that it is okay. She says that this can happen when people speak with an accent which is new to us. She tells me that the pair was from Scotland. The next day, I go to school, and I tell this story to my teacher. I tell her that I felt really stupid when I didn't understand our customer. I wasn't sure if my English was good for my job. My boss was okay with it, but I still needed some help from my teacher. I wanted to know what I could do in these situations. My teacher says, I understand. You understand English which people speak in London, but the Scottish accent is new for you. Your ears aren't trained for the Scottish accent. You need to listen more to Scottish English. You need to train your ears to this accent too. What happened to you can happen to everybody. When you already speak English at some level and you go to a country where people speak with a different accent, it is normal that you don't understand. It is okay, and it usually takes 2 weeks before you understand this new accent. Don't think that there is something wrong with you when you don't understand a new accent. With practice, you can train your ears to this accent. Then I ask, so what can I do to understand the Scottish accent? I don't live in Scotland. Our teacher says, you can watch films with Scottish English or you can watch situation comedies from Scotland, and soon you can understand. I tell her, thank you. After school, I go to my work again. At about 4 o'clock, 2 interesting customers come to our cafe. This time, they are not from Scotland. They are foreigners. They want to buy some coffee. They are 2 ladies, and it is clear that their English is very basic. My boss is serving them. When she hears that they don't speak English very well, she does something very interesting. She changes her English. She uses very simple sentences with only 3 or 4 words. I can see that the ladies understand her. They buy 2 coffees, 2 sandwiches, and 2 cakes. They are happy, and my boss is happy too. When the ladies leave, I tell my boss that it was very nice how she changed her English so that the 2 ladies understood her. My boss says that sometimes she has to speak in a very simple English. It doesn't matter if the customers speak English well or not. They are our customers, and we have to do everything possible for them. If they see that they can speak English here, they can come to our cafe every day. I think that our boss is a good businesswoman. She does everything possible to make our customers happy. It is true that we have a lot of customers. Our cafe is busy every day. When you want to understand people with a special accent, listen to audio with their accent for some time. What you can do at your level. The next day at school, I tell my teacher about my experience with my boss and the 2 ladies who didn't speak English very well. Our teacher says, "Great, your boss must be a very clever young lady. It is true that you can communicate with everybody. People who speak English very well can have a conversation with those who are at the beginning of their journey. Today, we can speak about different levels of English and what you can do at these levels. Let's start with the lowest level of 1,000 words. At this level, students can speak about some basic things from everyday life. The speaking is very limited, but it is already possible to communicate slowly for a short time with people who want to speak with you. Your sentences are short. They have usually 4 words. If the others also speak in short sentences, you can have a basic conversation. When students move to a higher level, which is 2,000 words, the conversations are easier and the sentences are longer. This is the level at which you are right now. You can speak about many things from your life. You can speak about your family, hobbies, job, and traveling. Sometimes you can have a problem when you want to go into a deeper conversation on some topics. But this level is usually good enough for everyday use of English. If you want to be able to have a deeper conversation on many topics, it is good to know 3,000 words. It is a good goal for students of English. Of course, you can learn more than 3,000 words. With more words, it is easier for you to communicate in English. But 3,000 words is the level that is usually enough for communicating in English about almost everything. I think that the two ladies at your cafe knew about 1,000 words. Your boss went to their level, and she had a basic conversation with them. After my school, I go to my work. The two ladies come to our cafe again. They also bring two of their friends. It is my turn to serve them. I speak to them in simple, short sentences. They understand me. This is great. They tell me that they are tourists from Japan. They tell me that they like our cafe because people understand them here. When you want to be able to communicate in English, learn 3,000 words. What to do when you are shy. On Thursday, I go to school again. One student has a very interesting question. She says, "I am very shy when I have to speak English. Can you help me? I don't want to be so shy." Our teacher says, "It is true that when we use foreign languages, it is natural that we are shy. We do something what we don't know perfectly. The possibility of making a mistake is very high. I was also very shy when I learnt foreign languages. I remember well how I was afraid to make a mistake. When I made a mistake, I felt stupid, and sometimes my face was red. Now it is different. I use languages for communication. I care only about communication. You know that I am learning Spanish these days. Sometimes I make a mistake, but it can't stop me from using Spanish. It is true that sometimes I still feel shy when I have to speak Spanish. Sometimes my face is red, but I don't care much about it. It is a natural human feeling, and it is always a short moment. I continue using Spanish because I know that only by using it I can be better. I also try to see things as they are. I am a student, and I am on the way to good Spanish. It is not possible to jump many levels in one day. The beginner can't be a perfect speaker in 1 hour. I also see what I mean to people around me. When I already speak some Spanish, I have a value to people who speak Spanish. You can see the same. When you already speak some English, you can have a conversation with other people in English. That's great. Look at what you already know. You know 2,000 words. You have already gone from 0 to 2,000 words. Be happy for it. Some students have a feeling that to know English means to be able to speak like a native speaker, to have perfect pronunciation, perfect grammar, and speak perfectly without any mistakes. They think that if they are not doing that, they don't know English. They are shy because they are not perfect. These students are very hard on themselves, and it is not necessary. You are great because you already speak some English. Continue working on your English, and your shyness can step by step go away. I like what our teacher tells us. I am also sometimes shy. I know that I have to practice speaking a lot, but in some situations, I don't want to look stupid, and I don't speak as much as I can. I decide to be more brave in these situations and use them to practice more. Then one student says, "Sometimes I want to say something, but I don't know the word which I want to say." Then I stop and I don't know what to do. In these situations, I feel very stupid. Then the next time when I can speak English, I don't want to speak because I don't want to be in this stupid situation again. Can you help me with this? Our teacher says, when you start to speak English, you have to prepare for one thing. It is a situation when you don't know a word which you want to say. In such a situation, you have to learn how to describe the word. This ability is very important when you learn a new language. You need to learn this ability. You need to train how to express ideas with the vocabulary which you have. For example, you don't know how to say the word key. You can describe it as a small thing for opening a door. You also describe words in your native language, but usually you don't know it. If you don't know the word for something, you simply describe it to the other person so that the other person understands what it is. You can do the same thing in English, but you really need to train this ability. Thinking aloud is a very good technique to use when you want to be able to describe well. Use thinking aloud every day, and your ability to describe things can be better. You can learn English only when you use English. It is okay to be shy, but it can't stop you from using English. Who is talented? The next day is Friday, and I go to school again. I am happy that I go to this class, not only because we have a great teacher. I like this class because there are students from many different countries in our class. Some students are from Europe, some students are from South America. There is also one student from Japan and one from South Korea in my class. This is good for me because the students don't speak my native language. When I speak to them, I have to use only English. It is very good for my practice. Today, we have another new student in our class. Her name is Sophia. She is from Argentina. At the beginning of the lesson, Sophia says that she thinks that she doesn't have a talent for studying languages, but she wants to work hard to be better. My teacher asks her, "Why do you think that you don't have a talent?" She answers, "I think that I don't have a talent because my sister learns English very fast, but for me, it is difficult." Then our teacher asks everybody in the class, "Do you think that you have a talent for learning languages? Please put your hand up if you believe that you have a talent." I look around the class and nobody puts their hands up. My teacher smiles. Then she says, "Now, I want to tell you something. Many people think that you need to have a talent if you really want to learn a new language." I agree. Yes, you need to have a talent if you want to learn a new language. But I also believe that you already have a talent for learning languages. Why do you have a talent? You have a talent because you already learnt one language, which is your native language. You were successful at learning your native language, and you speak that language fluently. All people who can learn their native language have a talent for learning languages. Why do many students believe that they are not talented? The reason is this. There are people who are super talented. Yes, it is true. These super talented people remember new words very fast and for a longer time. Maybe you know these people. Maybe it is somebody at your work or in your family. There are not many of these people, but they exist. I believe that this can be Sophia's sister as well. Learning a new language is fun for these people, and they can do it easily. Sophia says that it is true, that her sister is really better than everybody else. Our teacher continues, "It is true that these super talented people exist. It is a fact, and we can't do anything about it. And it is not a problem. The problem is that we compare ourselves to these people, and if we don't learn as fast as they do, we think that we are not talented. I want to ask you for one thing. Please do not compare yourself to these super talented people. Yes, they are lucky and they have an advantage, but you can be lucky too, and you are super talented to do other things. Maybe you are more talented than others when you learn to sing, swim, play tennis, count numbers, cook, or repair cars. People are not all the same. It is a beauty of this world. Now, you can believe that you are also talented, maybe not super talented, but talented. When you believe that you are talented, learning English will be easier for you. These words from our teacher are very helpful for us. I know that I am talented at playing football and tennis. Now I know that I am also talented at learning English. It is great. And what is also great is that there is a school party in the evening. I really look forward to this party. I know that some girls from our class are going there. I hope that our new student Sophia is also going to the party. I know Sophia for only one day, but I like her very much. If you can speak your native language, then you have a talent for learning English. How to speak fluently. On Monday, I go to school again. Our teacher asks us about Friday's school party. One student says that the party was great. We had a lot of drinks and a lot of fun. The girls from our class liked the party as well. I liked the party a lot too because Sophia was there. I could talk to her and we danced together. It was all very nice. There were also 2 boys from my football team at the party. These boys are from Brazil. Their English was basic. They could speak only in short sentences, but they were very funny at the party. They made a lot of jokes about life in England, about other players from our team, and about girls from their class. Their sentences were very short with only 3 or 4 words, but they were able to speak fluently. When we speak about the party, I tell my teacher, "It was really interesting to see that somebody who doesn't know many words can already speak fluently. I know some students who are at a much higher level and they can't speak fluently." My teacher says, "The 2 boys from your football team showed you the right way. The boys used what they knew. They cared only about what was really important. It was communication." Then one girl asks, "So, what can we do if we want to speak English fluently? To go to parties and make jokes?" My teacher says, "First, let me explain what fluent speaking is. Many students think that fluent speaking is fast speaking with a lot of words and perfect grammar. But there is a better, more correct definition of fluent speaking. Fluent speaking is speaking without long pauses. Some people can do it at 1,000 words. Some people can do it at 2,000 words. But there are also people who know 3,000 words and aren't able to speak fluently. If you want to speak fluently, you have to practice speaking. There is no other way to improve your fluency. Speaking is a physical activity. It is like playing a musical instrument. If you want to play a violin, you need to train the connection between your brain and the muscles on your fingers. When you want to speak well, you need to train the connection between your brain and the muscles in your mouth. Some students have one interesting experience. Maybe you have this experience too. You meet a foreigner who wants to speak with you in English. You want to say ideas that are in your head, but you aren't able to do it. You can't find the right words. Then, when you end the conversation and play it back in your head, You can see that you actually know the right words, but the conversation is already finished. Why do you have this experience? Because you have little training. Your speaking isn't automatic. And it is not automatic because you don't practice it often enough. When you want to speak fluently, I recommend speaking for at least 30 minutes a day. You can speak to a real person. If you don't have a real person for a conversation, you can do thinking aloud. It is necessary to really think aloud and not only think in your head. You need to practice the connection between your brain and your muscles. You can do this by thinking aloud. Does it make sense? Yes, says the girl. If you want to speak fluently, speak for 30 minutes every day.